Imagine a courtroom, tense with anticipation. The judge's gavel strikes, echoing through the silence. A young black teen stands before him, his fate hanging in the balance. But what happens next will shock you to your core. Today, we're diving into a story that's as gripping as it is controversial. A tale of justice, power, and unexpected twists that'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the legal system. Picture this: a small-town courthouse, packed to the brim. Our protagonist, 17-year-old Jamal, stands accused of a crime he swears he didn't commit. The evidence seems stacked against him, but he maintains his innocence with unwavering conviction. The judge, a stern-faced man with years of experience etched into his features, looks down from his bench. His eyes, cold and calculating, scan the courtroom before settling on Jamal. The air is thick with tension as he opens his mouth to deliver the verdict. "Life in prison," he declares, his voice devoid of emotion. The courtroom erupts in gasps and murmurs. Jamal's face crumples, the weight of those 3 words crushing his spirit. But just when you think it's all over, the judge does something completely unexpected. He reaches for his phone. Now, you might be thinking, what on earth is going on? Well, buckle up, because this is where things get really interesting. The judge dials a number, his fingers moving with practiced ease. The courtroom falls silent, all eyes fixed on this bizarre turn of events. And then, he speaks into the phone, his voice suddenly taking on a different tone. "General," he says, "I need to talk to you about your son." Jaws drop, eyes widen. The courtroom collectively holds its breath. Did he just say what we think he said? Yes, folks, the judge has just called Jamal's father a high-ranking military general. But why? What could possibly be the reason behind this unprecedented move? Is this a case of corruption at the highest level? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? As we delve deeper into this case, we uncover layers of complexity that'll make your head spin. We're talking about a tangled web of family ties, military influence, and the murky waters of small-town politics. Let's rewind a bit and look at Jamal's background. Born and raised in this very town, he was always known as the general's son, but he never used that to his advantage. In fact, he went out of his way to forge his own path, determined not to rely on his father's influence. But now, as he faces a life behind bars, that connection might be his only hope. The general, we learn, has been stationed overseas for the past year. He had no idea his son was even in trouble, let alone facing such a severe sentence. Can you imagine getting that call? Learning that your child, who you thought was safe at home, is about to be locked away for life? As the judge speaks to the general, the courtroom remains in stunned silence. Everyone's trying to piece together what's happening. Is this some kind of secret deal? A last-minute reprieve? Or is the judge simply informing a father of his son's fate? The plot thickens when we discover that the judge and the general have a history. They went to the same military academy, served together in their younger days. Some might call it a conflict of interest. Others might see it as a potential lifeline for Jamal. But here's where it gets really interesting. As the judge continues his conversation, his demeanor begins to change. The stern, unyielding man who delivered the life sentence starts to look uncertain. He listens intently to whatever the general is saying, his brow furrowed in concentration. And then, something truly extraordinary happens. The judge hangs up the phone and addresses the court once more. "In light of new information," he says, his voice carrying a hint of, is that regret? "I am ordering a retrial." The courtroom explodes into chaos. Jamal, who moments ago was facing life behind bars, now has a second chance. But what new information could have possibly come to light in that brief phone call? As we dig deeper, we uncover a web of lies and deceit that goes far beyond Jamal's case. We're talking about corrupt officials, tampered evidence, and a conspiracy that reaches to the very top of the town's power structure. It turns out Jamal was never the real target. He was a pawn in a much larger game, one that involved millions of dollars, shady land deals, and a cover-up that would make Watergate look like a minor indiscretion. The general, it seems, had been conducting his own investigation from afar. He'd uncovered evidence that not only exonerated his son, but implicated several high-ranking town officials in a massive fraud scheme. And the judge? Well, he was caught right in the middle of it all, torn between his duty to uphold the law and the pressure from those who stood to lose everything if the truth came out. That phone call wasn't just a father pleading for his son's life. It was a moment of reckoning, a chance for the judge to choose which side of history he wanted to be on. As the story unfolds, we see a town turned upside down. Long-held secrets come to light, alliances shift, and the very foundations of justice are shaken to their core. Jamal, once facing a life behind bars, now finds himself at the center of a storm that's bigger than he ever could have imagined. His fight for freedom becomes a fight for the very soul of his hometown. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about one teen or one town. This story shines a spotlight on issues that plague our justice system across the country. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about race, power, and the sometimes thin line between law and corruption. As we follow Jamal's journey through his retrial, we're taken on a roller coaster ride of emotions. Hope, fear, anger, and triumph all play their part in this gripping tale. We see a community divided, forced to reckon with its own prejudices and assumptions. We witness the power of truth to cut through even the most tangled web of lies. And most importantly, we're reminded of the incredible strength of the human spirit in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. By the time the dust settles, nothing in this small town will ever be the same. Careers will be ruined, reputations shattered, and a new order will rise from the ashes of the old. And Jamal? Well, you'll have to stick around to find out his fate. But one thing's for sure. His story will stay with you long after the credits roll. This isn't just a tale of one teen's brush with injustice. It's a wake-up call, a challenge to all of us to look closer, dig deeper, and never stop fighting for what's right. So, the next time you hear about a case that seems open and shut, remember Jamal's story. Remember that sometimes justice isn't just blind, it's in desperate need of a second look. Because in a world where a single phone call can change everything, we all have the power to make a difference. The question is, what will you do with that power? Stay tuned, folks. This is one story you won't want to miss.